In this video, I'm going to teach you how to verify the resolution and quality of an image and how to save images as links. Now, if you're going to be scanning your work instead of photographing it, then what you're going to want to do is make sure that before you scan, you check the settings. Now, everybody's scanner is different. But what you want to do is wherever you can get to a screen that has the options of how to scan, you want to look for a button that says settings. And so I'm going to go ahead and click this settings button. And you can see here again, I've got lots of options of ways to scan on my scanner. But if I go to photo scan, I want to make sure that where it says resolution, there's 300 DPI, and that stands for 300 dots per inch. Now, my scanner will let me go all the way up to 600 dots per inch. But basically what that means is there's 300 little dots of color for every 1 inch of image. And this is really important because this means as I stretch my image out in a document like an InDesign template or a PowerPoint template, that the resolution still is high enough that the image itself will look crisp. So that's the first thing that you want to be sure of when you are scanning your images. Another way that you can check and see the size of images if you already have them and you aren't sure whether or not they're high enough DPI or you're not sure if they need to be rescanned, is to look at them in your file organization system. And so you can see here, I'm looking at images that have been used for Module 2. And so as I hover over these things, you can see a little bit of information about the file shows up. You can see here it says that it's the dimensions of the file, so 1280 by 960. But if I want to see the DPI or the resolution, I can right click and look at properties. Now, it doesn't give me very much information right here, but if I go to details, you can see down here it talks about the resolution as well here. So 72 DPI. Now, this image was not scaled at a very high, or pardon me, scanned at a very high resolution. So I have to be really careful about resizing this and stretching it out too much. Now, it'll still look good up to a certain point, but if I stretch it too much and then later on when I export my portfolio, it looks pixelated, or when I preview my portfolio, it looks pixelated, then I have to go right back and scan it at a higher resolution. In a previous video, I discussed briefly how the images that are used in an InDesign file are links and not embedded within the file itself. So now I want to talk to you about how to save images as links. Now, you don't really do anything special to the image themselves, but you do have to save them in a certain place. So within an InDesign file, like we see here, there's a bunch of images that have been placed inside. And now, right here, the images that you see are a preview of the image themselves, but these are actually just linking back to the location of the file on my computer, because InDesign knows when I went to place these images, I placed them and I showed InDesign where on my computer the original images were. So InDesign knows that all of these images are somewhere on my computer and it knows exactly where they are. However, if for some reason I clean out or delete images from my computer that are used in this InDesign document, then the link will be broken and I'm going to have to show InDesign where those images are. Here's a perfect example. You can see here, this used to be a link, but now it's a red question mark. And that's because this image was pulled from a flash drive. So I plugged the flash drive into my computer. When I went to place this image, I went to File and Place, and then I browsed for that image on that flash drive. And so I placed that link here and it's showing right here, but the flash drive that has the original image is no longer in my computer. So this image will look okay now as I'm previewing it within InDesign. But later, when I export this, this image will look highly pixelated because it's what we call a broken link. So what you have to do once you've scanned your images is save them to a folder on your computer called links. And you can see here links. All of the links in my InDesign document, with the exception of that one, are all in here. Now, every time InDesign wants to show me a picture, it goes straight to this folder of links. Now, if I were to, for example, delete this folder or have another computer that I wanted to show my portfolio on, what I would have to do is put this folder of links on a flash drive, put the flash drive in a different computer, open up InDesign, and on all the images where I see that, see when I clicked on it, this is InDesign going, okay, if it's not there anymore, where is that link now? Now, I still don't have this image on my computer. It's still on the flash drive. But if I were to, for example, have a question mark here, all you do is click on the question mark and you say, okay, InDesign, that link is broken. That link isn't there anymore. Here is where the link is that you want. And then let's say I had that image here, I would just click on it and then InDesign would know, okay, that's what I have to link to now. So once again, all you have to do to make sure that your InDesign file moves quickly and isn't taking up a ton of memory on your computer is make sure that you save those images as high resolution, but you save them in a spot where they're in their own folder and InDesign knows exactly where they are so that InDesign can link to the image instead of having a bunch of 300 or 600 DPI images embedded within the InDesign file that would make it too large to send.